And one really has to kind of chuckle to oneself because we're really not going to, I think, take credit for all of his figures. So I have to say, you go, the further down in Orange County you go, the more credit you'll find given to those figures. So the more fundamentalists the world gets, and I have nothing against fundamentalists, but again, I don't think that they really think seriously about these issues and you know what's involved in making claims of that kind. Always, even in the New Testament, like to say, you know, to me, I'm just a nasty person. Was you there, Charlie? Did you have a tape recorder? Did you hear these things being said? And yet everyone, of course, takes them as gospel or the biblical truth. And I'm sure there are. I think you say, well, if your attitude is so casual, you might say to me, how come you're so worried about the other thing? Oh, well, it's a matter of respect. I don't say that everything in the book is a weighty commandment that one must observe. On the other hand, I think if the book is really worried about something and thinks that something is extremely serious, one should try to be a little bit deferential to that. It's just like your parents. How are you going to treat your parents? You don't observe everything they say, but there's some things that you know they really are serious about, and you try to do your best to pay attention to that, particularly if you respect them and show respect for this book. And again, I will criticize my Christian associates and others who actually walk around with this book tacked on to the book that they care more about and pay no attention to what is demanded in it. And I think that is really, that's, I don't know what the word is, but it's very superficial. And I think they should think more seriously. They shouldn't walk around with the book tacked to their other book, or they should pay attention to what's in it. Now, I know a lot of Christians do. There are a lot of Christians who do understand that. And there are about, I think back in the Civil War days in America, there were more, because the Bible meant a lot to, particularly the Old Testament meant a lot to Americans at that time, because it reflected their experience on the frontier somewhat. And as I told you, each person felt they were interpreter of the Bible, and they kept the Sabbath and things like that. They were a lot more serious than people in our century are. And I don't know what century we're in, the 20th or the 21st. I get confused here. So we're on the cuff of one century, and it really hasn't begun yet. Well, I think at one time in America, this book was taken very seriously. And all you have to do is look at the names of the people, how they were named. Abraham, Zechariah, or someone like that. You know, you find Zachary Taylor, for instance, another general. You can go down the list and you'll find a lot of biblical names being tossed around, not just John and James and you know, and names like that, but a lot of Old Testament names that people, Obadiah, you know, Jeremiah, you know, a lot of Old Testament. So I think at one time this was, and I respect those people who, if they're carrying the book, take it seriously. And so since we're studying the book, if you're studying it just for an exercise, that's fine. You don't need to take it seriously. But if you're studying it because you care about it, then I would be careful of it. I would be careful of it. Anyone who doesn't show up for that exam, therefore, that night is qualified to do a makeup. So I'm not going to force anyone to show up for that particular exam. But I will do the exam that night and have it handed out. All right. Now, so the priestly, this person who's very knowledgeable, he is the one who actually, funnily enough, he's not the one that's involved in the sacrifice here, which has to do with the seven pairs of clean animals and birds, and only 2 of the others. And we see now the reason for the 7 pairs of the clean ones because of the sacrifice. The priestly one we'd have thought would be interested in sacrifice, but he's not he's rational, but he's more interested in basically showing off his information mastery. And so what has the editor done? I think it's pretty clear. We'll see it in other ones. You may disagree. I think when you follow the name of God, Lord, or God, the word God, Elohim, you can see that someone has done some very, not even careful splicing, just two manuscripts, snipped them up, put them like this side by side, and tried to make them, thought they were both holy, obviously. And since he thought they were both holy, he didn't want to throw anything. Okay, so in the priestly one, we get the chapter 9, the continuation of the mass creation idea that permeates the first chapter. Be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth. I give you everything, but you shall not eat the flesh with the blood in it, with the life. And that there, he just talks a general command of not eating the blood because the blood has the life. The other day we were talking about this in, I think it was in Islam class that I teach, or it may have been in a religious diversity class, and we were looking for this passage, you shall not eat the flesh of life, that is, with the blood in it. And once again, you have a tough time harmonizing that with Paul in 1 Corinthians, where he says, drink the blood. I don't know how he can quote biblical writ and then say, drink the blood. That to me shows a very cynical view of the materials he's dealing with. And I'm a very big critic of his, because I feel that though he's a very good poet and an extremely able theologian, and though he obviously is possessed by his own vision, he is, he will do whatever he needs to do to make it work. He's a fixture, and I guess I just feel that is not a legitimate way to handle materials. You can't quote the Old Testament on the one hand whenever you want, and then on the other hand, totally deny it. How is that possible? Anyway. You're looking at the only person probably in the whole country who says these things, so you can take it or leave it however you want. But I think later on in life you might want to think about this. In any event, that's why we have things in Islam and Judaism even today where it says, or where people speak about kashrut or kosher or halal in Islam. I think halal is permitted or clean. In any event, kosher means permitted as well. I think allowable or something to that effect. But in any case, the reason is based on things like this here and a lot of other things, but mainly this sort of thing.